And on the line right now, Pedro Ramos, President and CEO of the Philadelphia Foundation. Good morning, Brother Ramos.
Good morning, Professor. How are you?
Doing well. Tell us about this Open Table Philly.
On November 8th, we're going to people all around the area are choosing to get friends together as well as people they don't know in groups of 8 to 10, 8 to 12 over food or beverage, and really have conversations about community and what we can do as individuals and together to make communities stronger outside of the political, talk about the political arena, certainly not out of bounds, but really focused on what we can do as neighbors to help neighbors. We tried this last year. We asked 100 people to host. We ended up with over 300 people hosting in every zip code and area throughout the city and the region. People really took to it, the idea that people would just come together, figure out some things they could do, and then continue to keep those conversations and some actions going after the day. So what we're doing now is putting out a call for hosts to people who may want to do this to go on the table PHL.org, on the table PHL.org, where people can register to host. And all it takes is a willingness to get 8 to 10 people together. We think food matters because it creates a lot of intimacy, and we have on that website some tools that work well in community meetings and neighbor meetings about how to keep conversations constructive and going forward. We think it's an important time for people to talk face to face. People talk at each other more these days than they talk with each other.
Now, this is the first one that's planned for November 8th?
That's right. On November 8th, it'll be all over the city. People can register now to host, and you get sort of a toolkit for hosting. They can do that at onthetablephl.org. On there, you can see not just how easy it is to host. You can also look at what some of the discussions were last year, what some of the results were last year. Very easy to do. We're going to also, after November 8th, take some of the ideas that get reported out from this. We're going to do small grants where a limited number of small grants to get some conversation to action moments going. We're going to spend a fair amount of effort making sure that what the voices from those gatherings all over the city and all over the region on November 8th are heard beyond the rooms where they happen.
Now, can you tell us a little more about the Philadelphia Foundation for those that might not know, and also a website or some social media links so we could follow some of the activities of the foundation?
Sure. The Philadelphia Foundation's at philafound.org, PHILA, philafound.org. We're an organization set up 99 years ago essentially for neighbors to help neighbors. At the time that foundations were being created, some folks came together and created this structure for funds for neighbors to put aside funds to help other neighbors. So we manage over 900 of those funds and make about $25 million in grants a year. A lot of our discretionary grants where we have discretion are focused on serving high poverty populations, the vulnerable. We've been sort of in and for the community now almost 100 years, and we've recently have made more of an effort to make sure that we're not just helping behind the scenes, but trying to bring more voice to the organizations we support and the people that we serve.
And also, there's a plan, I'm assuming, let me know if I'm mistaken, to, after these conversations, continue to an action phase, like to transform these conversations into some political or activist conversions?
Yeah. So the idea is that this is what we're doing is trying to make it easy and for people to come together, and then after we're going to we do some polling about what about what's interesting, what's most on the minds of people in every area, and we're hoping that people come out of these discussions wanting to keep them going and wanting to take action. In some cases, we'll be able to do some small grants to keep those going. We'll also be trying to amplify through different media the conversations. A lot of information comes out of these last year. Not surprisingly, an issue of great concern throughout the community is public safety. Although the foundation community and the government wasn't talking much about public safety, and once you get around the table, you talk to people, what comes up first? Public safety, education, economic opportunity. Keeping those issues front and center, having people talk about it face to face, hearing conversations that are coming from residents' perspectives, coming from residents' solutions, coming from residents, and then doing what we can, working with a lot of partners to amplify those discussions, amplify those voices, amplify those ideas, and hopefully support some action.
Now, a lot of people might be wondering about what the kit entails, because a lot of people think it's a great idea to have conversations, but in the back of their mind, they might be wondering, what we eating? Can you share that as well? Because I know there's some people out there that are like, I love to come out and I love to talk about the politics and the issues of the day. But in the back of their mind, they might be afraid to ask. They don't want to seem like they're the type of people that care about the meal. But there's some people that care about the meal. So for those menu fanatics out there, tell us what we're going to be having.
Oh, well, it really depends on the host. Right? This is
okay.
What happens is a host decides what they're going to do. Some of these happened, over breakfast, over in the break lounge, in people's homes, in neighborhood restaurants. Some happened downtown. 2/3 of these happened outside Center City last year.
Oh, okay.
So it is really whatever the person who this is all about individual resident leaders, right? Somebody deciding, I'm going to get people together over my house, or I'm going to get people together at work. I'm going to get some people together at school, and we're going to spend some time figuring out what are some things we care about that we think we could do something about.
Okay.
And one of the cool things last year also was about 74% of the people said they spoke with folks they had never met before, and 64% came out of it saying that solutions had sort of surfaced that they hadn't thought about before, or potential actions that they could take that they hadn't thought about before. And all this happened because somebody's like, yeah, I know I know some people, and they're probably friends of friends or other folks that I think I'd like to get their perspective on it, and rather than say, I wonder what that person thinks, or that person must think this, people actually come together, talk face to face as humans, right, as people, and really figure out where they can take their common interests, and where they can find some action. It's interesting because it's November 8th, and it's coming 2 days after the midterms, and it's sort of the beginning of the 2019 Philadelphia and other local election seasons. So a lot of people are going to be, wanting to talk at the public. Hopefully here people get together before everybody starts talking at them to spend some time thinking about what we can do to make our community better, and to have and to be assured that we're going to be sharing what those conversations are with institutions and with the public.
So these politicians that win on November 6th, they can come for a victory brunch or victory dinner. Are the politicians invited?
They're invited, but these things are really driven by people, not by electeds. It's really supposed to be citizen driven.
Okay, so they can come, but they gotta sit at the kid table. At the kid table at Thanksgiving, yeah, no stumping, just chumping.
Well, I think the best politicians want to do a lot of listening.
Yeah,
they do a lot of talking. So this is a great opportunity for them to hear what people have to say on one day where people are putting in the extra effort to share that.
No, definitely appreciate it. If you're just tuning in, we're talking with Pedro Ramos, the president and CEO of the Philadelphia Foundation. We're talking about Open Table Philly, November 8th, 2018. Area residents invited to pull up a chair, share a meal, and discuss the ways in which we can work to make our community stronger, safer, and more dynamic. Please give out that website information for the foundation or for the events before we part.
OnTheTablePHL.org.
Oh, that was easy. I like that. Straight to the point. Say it again.
OnTheTablePHL.org.
OnTheTablePHL.org. Thank you so much for sharing the information, for talking about the event, for waking up with Word this morning. Pedro Ramos, President and CEO of the Philadelphia Foundation. Appreciate you.
That's fine, Professor.
Take care.